Good evening. It is a delight coming to your homes with GH1 News tonight. My name is Kweku Temeni.
And mine, Kemini Amano.
Well, coming up tonight, some of the stories we have for you.
South Dai latest to join districts kicking against the president's nominees for MMDCEs will broaden the conversation tonight.
Also coming up tonight, we'll take you into the enclave of second-hand clothing and share the story of one man who is contributing to national growth with this job many regard as menial.
We'll continue with our May Day watch as we take you into as we continue our celebrations of workers ahead of May Day. Tonight we'll highlight the production of palm kernel oil, a major source of livelihood for women in Ashaiman.
You'd want to talk about business as ISODEC challenges governments to draw up proactive policies to check the growing trend of illegal financial flows.
When Tony Beverly joins us with sports, who tell you how 7 Ghanaians advanced to quarter-final stage of Macdan Tennis Open West Africa Championship.
You'd also want to enjoy some international news tonight as cheap drug has been shown to stop women from bleeding to death in a discovery that could help reduce the increasing rate of maternal mortality.
From the first industrial action in 1919 to the last in 2016, workers continue to find their voice to demand more pay and better conditions. This is a struggle that will continue and only stops every 1st of May as the world comes together to celebrate our hard work. GH1 recognizes workers and say, Ayiko. Tune in on May 1 for the best coverage. GH1 News, Beyond Barriers.
Thank you very much for joining us on News Tonight. We'll start off with our Labor Day watch stories. It's an age-old profession, usually reserved for aged women. The process is soily tedious, requires patience, and yet generates revenue in thousands of Ghana cedis for each process. Palm kernel oil production has remained a major source of livelihood for several women living in a Ashaiman Fita line. GH1 News' Sarah Eunice Imbir takes us through the production process in the following report.
55-year-old Lamis Yatia leads over 20 women each morning to produce palm kernel oil here at Ashaiman Fita line. Production starts as early as 5 a.m. each day and continues throughout the week with little or no rest for these elderly women. The job is no doubt tedious and requires tons of patience, but in the end, very rewarding, thus spurring on these women to soldier on in their chosen profession. Palm kernel oil production is an indigenous activity mostly in rural Ghana. The production line encompasses a combination of manpower and mechanical processes. The production process starts from the gathering of kernels to the cracking, milling and sieving, and moves through to cooking before the oil is extracted.
Ye poto wia ni ya sa adwuna gum na kle na separate adwumba na basoro aja ne hono no wase wate ase enti eyi adwumba no wo soro na ne ya di agu pan no ne ya yi ase no so agu separate ne different ye wia ne ya di nsu agu ho ne ya hohoro ho te echi wia ne ya sa de akoma afidie de ayama aburo no bi no ye yam wia ne ya sa de nsu abesi so edi nsuo si so na nsuo ne ya hye na ya hwegum na woka to kasa ba nsa na anwa na ba ni e wonunum se ya na anwa na eba wodi nsuo si ne hye so na wonunum no wo hwe ngunu gum a wonunum no wonunum se ya na anwa na eba eti anwa na ba wi a na afere wa fa atre esa anwa no ye di ka asa akase na wi enti nkete na eka no na odi sa anwa no se ya na odi aba.
Lamisi has been in the palm kernel oil production business for 40 years. According to her, she inherited the business from her mother. From the proceeds of this business, she has been able to put her children through school, even up to university level.
Ejuma we ya na efirimi kwala abirmu ye didi ye ma mechi sa nkakra bedu sa abri. So yes ase mi se ase di ma mechi 40 years kra aba. Nti eno ana yedi ye ya me babe wale ya wo memba nti eno ana yedi ye sha omo school.
Lamisi says the business is a lucrative one as there is a ready market for both their produce and byproducts as well.
Aju hunu no enie ohun ne hunu ne na eka anu na omo nane aluminium de ye daresan omo ye aso dade hu dwuma bia ye yedu be samina alata samina yamudi bi ye ombo me say me customer bi a wode ye ombo oye ombo na ne ye fita anu bi na wode ye obi me de ye lata samina obi me de ye azuma blows nti ni nyina omo de ye ena obi me so de chenchenam.
The waste products are good sources of raw materials for the poultry and animal husbandry industries. The fiber are also good combustible materials. Palm kernel oil has nutritional value when eating and can also be used for medicinal properties, aside the production of soaps and body creams. Lamisi Atia admonished Ghanaians to patronize the locally made palm kernel oil, which is of more nutritional value than other oil imported into the country.
Yebesre Ghana for say, Obia ento ajungu ndidi, ajungu onma yare, ajungu di ama pomdin, say yarbu o widi mkura na wudi ajungu etimi ko. Ta ajungu ye duro maye asasu ye duane maye. Nti ye nyale, so adwumadin din we ye. Eno ana dum ye nti ye nyale, eno ana ye didi.
All right, so quite an effort there they put in to produce the palm kernel oil, but we're celebrating workers and we'll still stay with some more stories. For the average Ghanaian, patronage of second-hand clothing is an option rather than a choice. And for most people, Kantamanto here in Accra is the preferred destination to select a variety of clothing for both their office and social needs. Now, although trading in second-hand clothing is lucrative business, society sometimes undermines people who engage in this business. Well, in this report, Ernest Latte explores the journey of one man who's made a fortune out of this business despite the numerous challenges he was forced to face in the beginning. Trading in second-hand clothes dates back to pre-colonial times. Second-hand clothing were exported to the African colonies during slavery, mostly for charity and to be sold for fundraising activities. Since then till now, many Ghanaians have been engaged in the profession. Nana Kwame Opamboa relocated to Accra in 1992 after senior high school to take up a job in second-hand clothing. Born in Agogo in the Ashanti region to parents who were both farmers, Opamboa said he didn't pursue higher education after senior high school due to lack of financial support. And with little savings he had made from helping his parents sell their produce on the farm, he came to Accra to trade in second-hand clothes. Nana Kwame had no relatives in Accra when he first moved from his village to the capital. He was forced to sleep on tables and empty spaces at Tema Station during the night.
Challenges. Go to cry, no the movie was, hey, Bruno go to womb. Oh, Bruni will tell them, but a chain on who says, Bruni won't any man. And the enemy started echo.
Married with 4 children, Nana Kwame Agyemang-Opamboɔ has made a fortune from his business by establishing 2 shopping outlets in Kumasi and in Obuasi. He has also managed to enroll all his children in school with the hope that they will have the education he lacks.
My man so be a university. The actual Busuani and Yama said the TFP. Said the Bob Radi Etimia Boma Metimia Busa. Be Bakun nurse ni Edumayan am the Sheno. Bakun so Pentecost University. Bakun so Lagos is here and Bakun so perfect academy.
On a good day, he makes a sale of about 1,000 CDs, but there are times when he goes home with nothing.
On a da market bebano. Betimian Sky, big grand waging is a bitmanian, sir. Bitman be 1,000 cities cry, they betimian, never betimian. Trebons or Unya Bakukra, Unya, and the cities Unya, be even 20 is crying out here on a wanya. And say, depends at the what customers are from Winyan Yamafra, Befrom our
Nana Kwame has no intention of bowing out of the business anytime soon. He wants to expand his shopping outlets and supervise them when he advances in age. He also wants government to redesign the Kantamanto market to enable them have space to store up their wares.
You're still watching News Tonight, and we're bringing you a Labor Day sensitization stories ahead of the celebration on May 1. Now, for many years now, it has been the norm for Africans to travel abroad in search of greener pastures, and Ghana is no exception. According to the Ghana Immigration Statistics, the number of Ghanaians who traveled abroad in 2016 alone hit 293,754, an increase of 25,606 over the 2015 figure of 268,149. Now, many of these travels, though not documented, obviously, is in search of greener pastures. In this report, Lerato Lesoso brings you the harrowing experience of a Ghanaian bitter journey to Kuwait in search of greener pastures.
For many Ghanaians, traveling outside the country is both a privilege and an opportunity to seek for greener pastures. Unfortunately, for many like Agnes Deku, the pastures were not green at all. Hers was an ill experience, which she regrets. Her stay in Kuwait was marred by harsh working conditions and appalling treatment, which forced her to cut short her stay.
For them, they don't care whether you are a human being. They always think about themselves. And if you misbehave a little bit, they'll cut off your head. Some of us, when we are cooking, when they get there and they see there's mess in the kitchen, they can, even if it is frying pan or anything that you are using to cook, they can use that hot thing to beat you, to hurt you mercilessly. The day I want to leave, the woman and the lady and his husband and the children, they all left the house and off the lights.
How long did that happen? How many hours?
It happens from morning to evening.
Oh.
From morning to evening. So I was in. They cut my line. I cannot even call anybody for help. No. So I was inside praying to God that He should help me so that they come back. The woman was very angry and telling me, why do I want to go? And I said, it's nothing. Because if I want to complain, she might order people to kill me. I have seen it several times. So I'm afraid to talk because a lady that I know, she also was there with the same family. They sacked her outside and she went out and they let the police arrest her. After they arrest her, she was raped.
A phenomenon of agents or relatives acting as agents is also on the rise as many Africans continue to be lured into traveling abroad under false pretenses, and such was the case for Agnes.
She helped me do the papers, everything, and we got to Kuwait. But before I would leave here, she let me know the agent. But that day I asked the agent name, he was not able to tell me his name. So they helped me to find the papers, the visa and everything. He did it for me and I fly to Kuwait.
Agnes Deku, who is now 27 years old, was only 23 years old when she decided to go to Kuwait to seek greener pastures. Like many youth, she was pushed by unemployment and her standard of living at the time.
The only thing I would tell them is that they should rather stay in Ghana and do their personal works. My friends or my elders, everyone that is fighting to go, they should rather stay and do their own work in Ghana, because Ghana, there is peace and we can do whatever we want. But there's no chance for you to even go out. If you want to go out, it's difficult. Only your boss that can carry you in he or her car to go out. But without that, you cannot even go out. You have to stay in their house for 24 hours.
Agnes's friend is no more, but fortunately for Agnes, hers is a painful story with a happy ending. She now is married with 2 children, selling foodstuffs at her shop and finding solace in the church where she now resides.
All right, so GH1 News should be your official outlet where you would get all the May 1 stories. We'll be continuing with some more stories tomorrow, and it would continue on into May 1. Now let's do other stories. Some executives and supporters of the governing New Patriotic Party in the South Dai constituency of the Volta region have rejected the president's district chief executive nominee for the area, Ella Boateng. Now the executives who expressed disappointment about the choice of the woman said she is not known as a member of the NPP in the area, but rather an ally of the opposition National Democratic Congress.
Well, South Dai is only now adding to the list. Yesterday, Savelugu and Sagnerugu, in the Savelugu and Sagnerugu districts of the northern region, there were some flashpoints where the police had to intervene in activities that took place there following the announcement of the 212 MMDCEs. Now, the regent of Tolom, retired Major Suleiman Abubakar, served notice of major political upheaval if Hajia Amama Shaibu's nomination is not rescinded, claiming he was not consulted over this nomination. Let's speak to Hajia Amama Shaibu, who's joined us from the Tolon district over the telephone. Good evening, Hajia.
Fine evening, my dear.
Hajia, what do you think about the kind of response and reaction you're getting from particularly the regent of Tolong concerning your nomination?
My dear, I'm surprised to hear this from you. At the moment, I don't have any problem with the regent. The regent is a brother, the regent is a father, and I'm a native of Tolong. I'm not from anywhere. And I know whatever the regent is saying. You know, when you come out, I was not the only person who came out to vie for this position. We were many. I can say my district was the highest number of people that came out.
I see.
But at the end of everything, I stand tall among all of them. And you know, definitely, the regent may have his choice, and I can say I'm not his choice.
But obviously, what we are hearing from the Tolon district, it appears that well, the regent is not clear on whether or not you're his choice, but it's clear that he's unhappy. He was not consulted in your appointment. Now that it's clear that you're the president's choice for the Tolon district. You tell us how you're going to work in this area with the kind of a position you're getting already.
At the moment, I'm telling you, I'm just from my district. And I'm with the district. Yes, I'm with the regent, and I don't have any problem. Regent don't have any problem with me.
Indeed. But now just hold the line for me, Hajia. Hold the line for me. I'll come back to the question of how you intend to deal with the kind of a position you're getting. But let's establish that a position now. Joining us over the telephone also is the assembly member for the Tolon Township, Mohammed Abil Somet. I believe I mentioned your name right, Mohammed.
Right, you are welcome.
Mohammed, tell us why the kind of a position to Hajia Amama Shaibu's nomination in Tolon?
Well, before I can make any sound move, greetings to security listeners and your main hall. In actual fact, Hajia Amama, well, native of the district, all right, but she's highly been contested by the youth of that very constituency. And you agree with me that the current president of Ghana is calling on all Ghanaians to be citizens and not participators, but spectators as well. With due regard to this, Aisha is qualified as a native of the community or a citizen of that particular given district. But with due regard to certain key legal issues, of which the youth are contesting against Hajia Amama's appointment to the district, of which I back the claim. So long as you know, it's in a room of MPP. And in actual fact, from 1992 to 2012, it's been under the main opposition party. NPP has a chance in 2012 on the MP aspect. This proves that the party is yet brewing. Currently, we had a chance in 2016 where the current government is in president, and we are also having a sitting MP. That shows how blessed the current district is.
I see. So, Mohammed,
yes.
What's the point? Why are you opposing the president's choice of Hajia Mahama?
Well, the point is very clear. According to the youth, Aisha is not a registered voter of the district.
I see.
And with due regard to Section 7 of the Local Government Act 936 of 2016, for a person to be appointed to such a high position, he or she is supposed to be a registered voter. According to the youth, he's never been publicly noticed to have supported any campaign of the party since 1992 to 2006. According to the youth, he is not well known to even the party delegates, executive committee, the coordinators, the grassroots executive. That's the main point they are backing their claim on.
Very well. Mohammed, just hold the line for me. Hajia is on the other side. Hajia, you heard Mohammed Abdul Somet, who is assemblyman in the Tolon area.
First of all, let me tell you something. Hello, first of all, let me tell you something. The pictures I'm seeing on your screen is not my district.
Absolutely, we know that.
My district is as calm as anything in northern region. There is no any single demonstration in my district. And there is nothing against me in my district.
Hajia.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, now let's address the issue. We haven't reported here on the news that there is chaos in Tolon. What we have reported,
Hajia, if you look at my district, there's a lot of problems against me.
Hajia,
and I'm working with my regent. My regent is happy with me. There's nothing going on. If you can find out again from somewhere, from this morning up to this time, my regent is prepared to work with me 24 hours. And he has really accepted the nomination of the president. And let me tell you, those I came out to contest with, they are the people, definitely one person will stand tall among them. But because I was chosen as the DCE, definitely there's going to be a problem. But it's just going to be a normal problem. And I'm telling you, my dear sister, there's nothing in my district. I'm just from my district.
Now, yes, what is in your district? The assemblyman for the Tolon area says that he himself and the youth of the area do not like your appointment. They say that you are not a registered voter there. Your reaction to that?
They cannot say he's not the only assemblyman in Tolon district. We have more than 30-something assemblymen in my district. So if one assemblyman comes out to say, I'm not his choice, definitely he has his own choice. He was having somebody he supported. But if he's saying that I don't vote there, I don't do anything, he should go back and check. I've been a regional women's organizer for the past 8 years in opposition in Northern region. It has never happened. If I can carry 31 constituency in Northern region, what alone is this one district, and I cannot be a district
Hadia, going forward,
yes,
how would you rope
please.
all of these people who oppose you, including
I'm
those?
bringing everybody on board, whether you like me or not. At the end of the day, we want a development in that district, and that is what I stand for to do. And I'm telling you, if God gives me the chance and God permitted me and those assemblymen endorsed me, you will see difference in Tolon district. And I'm telling you right now, nobody can come out and say that I'm the person they don't like. Everybody likes me and I'm moving all right. And I'm arranging with my assemblymen and women. I'm telling you, tomorrow I'm going back to Swallow. There is nothing in Swallow. There is no demonstration. There is no press conference. Nothing except those I contested with. And they have their own choice. They know this person who is
Hadia,
I'm telling you.
Okay, Hadia, you need to listen. We've done a lot of the talking, but I need you to listen as well. Now, Hadia, you're telling me that you go back to Tolon tomorrow. Is that the case?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
But at the same time, you're with the regent of Tolon right now, watching GH1 News. Where?
I'm telling you, I don't have a problem with the regent. That's my brother. I don't have any problem with my regent.
Well.
He's a brother.
Hadia, we'll leave our conversation here. Thank you very much. Hadia Amama Shaibu is the president's appointee for chief executive for the Tolon area. Let me wrap it up with Mohammed Abil Somet, who is assemblyman for Tolon as well. Mohammed.
Hello.
Mohammed, you heard Hadia. She says that all is well in Tolon. She intends to work amicably. Listen to me, Mohammed. She intends to work amicably with all of you in Tolon, including those of you who oppose her.
In actual fact, my sister, you will agree with me that we are now operating under local governance, where the wish of the people matters. Democracy is by government of the people, for the people, and by the people. The Royal Highness is currently vehemently opposing this in response to the youth wish. So looking at this critically, we want a peace, a rule of law to be within Tolon. That is for sustainable development.
How do you intend to achieve that quickly?
And with that to be achieved, I believe strongly that if she could leave, looking at the contested issue being parasitic, it isn't that we strongly oppose her. By looking at the challenging issues, we are supporting our claim on.
Very well. Mohammed, we'll leave our conversation here. Thank you very much. That's all time will allow. Mohammed Abdul Somet is assembly member for the Tolon area. We've been discussing the opposition to the president's appointee for chief executive position for the Tolon district, Hadia Amama Shaibu. Well, let me give you things that have happened over the past few weeks in the lead up to the official announcement of the 212 appointees for various chief executive positions across the country. Now, March 24, supporters warned the president against appointing Peter Awimbisa as DCE for Bongo, and indeed, it turned out that he was announced DCE for Bongo. On the same day, the group described him as a dictator, a divisive leader, not transparent, a mismanager of party resources, a mole, and absolutely arrogant. Angry supporters in the Boko West constituency of the Upper East region also vandalized party offices over the appointment of Victoria Ayamba. Same day, irate supporters at Impoho in the Western region warned the president not to choose anyone else but George Bernard Eshan. Obviously, the president didn't listen to that. In the Eastern region, The Atiwa East residents demonstrated with a call. They demonstrated with a call on the president to choose a native of Atiwa East constituency or face the arrest. There were also protests at Boko over a candidate's reports that the President Akufo-Addo will choose Ustaz Umar, but according to the list from the ministry, the president's choice was Mukhtar Ahmadu Bagaya. In the Nadoli Kalio district, the youths were unhappy with Kate Lankono, but the president went for Kate Lankono. Obviously, the president is not obliged. It's his prerogative to choose who he wants. Let's have a conversation on the back of these developments, the kind of upheaval we're hearing in parts of the northern region as far as the 212 appointments are concerned. Over the phone now is Deputy Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah. He would help us understand how all of these will be managed going forward. Good evening, Kojo.
Good evening, and good evening to viewers. How are you doing?
I'm well. I trust you are too. But are you surprised by the 10 of events since the announcement of the 212 MMDCEs, especially events taking place in the north? So are you surprised?
I think we have to first put it in context. And because I caught the last part of your presentation, let me ask you to help myself and all your viewers. How many districts have you had reports of challenges from so far?
About 4 or 5 of them.
About 5 of them.
Absolutely.
Now, the president has appointed 216 metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives. And now we are having challenges in about 5. I think our estimate is just about 6 or so. That's about 3%. 3% out of the places where he's done these appointments. And that suggests that the appointments have been largely successful. And it's because of the various stages that we have gone through in doing these nominations. So putting it in context, there have been, may I say, challenges or open challenges in about 3% of the various places that the president has done nominations in. I think what we'll do is to encourage people who have concerns to do the proper thing, which is to engage with the district agencies or the district authorities and to have their concerns looked into. But any efforts of engaging in illegal conduct will not be an appropriate way to express those concerns.
One of the major concerns in these 5 areas we are hearing upheavals from is the fact that they believe that there was no consultation with them before the choice was made. What do you have to say to them on that score?
So, again, to put it in context, some of those who are expressing their displeasure in these 5 out of 216 places are making this argument. With great respect, it cannot be the case, because the very first step was to allow local executives and local authorities to examine the various persons who had interest in becoming DCs, and then to allow this local selection committee to shortlist, after which it was sent to the region, after which it was brought to the national level, after which the security apparatus was contracted to do the background checks before we got to today's nomination. Generally, this has been the procedure, and so we would expect that every person who has been named is a person who was first, passed by the local selection committee. But be that as it may, if anybody has any specific challenge, I think what he has to do is to engage with the district authorities. But any sort of unruly behavior which is aimed at moving the president's hand will not succeed. We implore anybody in these 5 out of 216 places who has an issue to kindly engage with the local authorities, and those issues will be looked into.
Indeed, Kojo, we'll leave it here. Thank you very much for your time. Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah is the Deputy Information Minister. You're still here on News Tonight, but that'll be a wrap for Insight.
All right, let's take a story more and then we'll take our break. A report published by the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana has identified negligence, the poor management of the economy and voter apathy as some of the reasons the NDC lost the 2016 elections. Well, the report, which was published in a joint partnership with Conrad Adeno Foundation, also highlighted some challenges that rocked the 2016 presidential and parliamentary elections.
The Political Science Department, as part of its broader study, deployed trained personnel with 5,000 questionnaires to selected constituencies to conduct a research on the 2016 elections. According to the findings of the research, the Electoral Commission was commended for the innovative ideas introduced which helped to further consolidate and entrench the country's democratic dispensation. Head of the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana, Dr. Bosman Asare, revealed that political parties must outdoor its manifesto early and also define their ideologies.
The manifestos are very, very important. So that means if we're a political party in Ghana, you don't wait till the last minute before you outdoor your party platform or your party's manifesto. You realize that some of the issues in the manifestos played a critical role. The two main political parties, especially the NPP and the NDC, must also work at explaining their ideologies to the electorate. The NPP claims to be a center-right political party, but they do more social programs than even the NDC. And the NDC claims to be a social democratic party, but in the last time they were in office, more private sector activities. So that means that the parties are not very clear cut when it comes to ideology.
Senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Evans Agre Dako, admonished domestic and international election observers to do more education whenever they visit the country during the electioneering period. He also emphasized the importance of the observer mission.
A lot more public education must be undertaken, especially by domestic observer groups, because they are here, and the National Commission for Civic Education, to increase public awareness of the presence of these observers, to actually help citizens really know their presence and perhaps appreciate their roles and even assess their performance. These observer groups are important, very critical.
All right, so we're taking a break at this point.
Absolutely. We'll be back with more news, some business, sports, and international news as well.
We unite. We defy. We hope. We dream. We play. We are fire in our hearts.
Celebrate 60 years of independence with a Guinness or Sajafo. Grab a bottle and look under the ground for a chance to win one of over 1 million bottles. Taste the celebration with
Welcome back.
What's got up there?
Yeah,
who's coming up next?
Business brief with Abna Owusu Nyameche, sporting the black and pink. If it comes red on your TV, then you should start working on that television set.
I know.
Hello, Abna.
Hi, Kemini. Thank you for joining us on Business Brief tonight. The Business Brief is brought to you in association with the National Investment Bank. Your business is our business.
Business Brief is brought to you by
National Investment Bank. Your business.
For 2 months. Building in this country is too difficult.
Don't worry, the National Investment Bank We Pay for Your Dream scheme can help you finance your building project.
Listen, NIB gave me cement, iron rods, roofing sheets, and other materials to finish my building.
NIB can also help you purchase your home appliances, your mobile phones, and your motorbikes.
You don't even need to have an NIB account to benefit from the NIB We Pay for Your Dream scheme. No.
Just visit any NIB branch with a valid national photo ID card. And the best part is, all purchased products are at no interest.
Call NIB now on 050-145-1050.
National Investment Bank. Your business is our business.
Well, our first business story tonight, representatives of the Ghana Civil Society has called on government to develop and implement a proactive program to track, stop and return illicit financial flows.
The directive requires businesses which qualify for tax exemptions to make upfront payment of same taxes only to receive refunds after 30 days. This is part of government's move to create temporary cash inflows for its activities, but at the same time give some respite to businesses. Nonetheless, importers and exporters who are mostly affected by this directive say it is unfavorable, for which reason government must review the tax retention policy. Speaking to the press after an engagement with the Association of Ghana Industries, Deputy Finance Minister Kweku Kwarteng in response said the ministry will not scrap the law. He explained that the directive allows government to check illegal activities, but was quick to add that government plans to review the entire tax exemption system.
It is part of a comprehensive review of our exemptions regime. As soon as we have finished with the review and we are clear in our mind that a large part of the irregularities have been removed, we will take a second look at this administrative measure.
Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chuma Kwabwa, welcomed the insight given into the retention policy. He added that the industry looks forward to reaping the effects of government's tax exemption regime.
For if there's a withdrawal or a reduction, it is in order. We are even expecting a lot more, based on the discussions we've had in the past. But we also acknowledge that you can't overnight solve all your problems. So the first year, these exemptions or cuts have been made, which is fine. Let's monitor how it impacts on businesses.
And that was rather a report for you on the Deputy Finance Minister Kweku Kwarteng emphasizing that government will not revert the decision to implement a tax retention policy announced in the 2017 budget. We can now bring you that report where the Ghana Civil Society is calling on government to implement a proactive program to track, stop and return illicit financial flows.
Every year, it is estimated Africa loses $50 billion through illicit financial activities of multinational companies and rich individuals. The multiplier effect of illegal financial activities in Africa means loss of jobs, income, decent education, and basic infrastructure. Officials identified multinational companies operating in Africa's extractive sectors as major culprits.
The returning the funds, where particularly the management of frozen assets, that part, what the panel had said, has not been picked up yet by the civil society organizations, and they have been advocating for when assets are frozen, the banks who have been the culprits in the first place should not be keeping this money, because those proceedings can go up to a decade, from 7 years to a decade.
Government has been tasked to consider the introduction of an intranet information system to help facilitate information sharing among the various divisions under the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Various studies have indicated that this country loses huge amounts of money in illicit financial outflows. These happen a lot of times through the exploitation of leakages in our policies, laws, and institutional arrangements.
He also indicated that in spite of some commitments made by previous governments over the years to tackle illicit financial trade, huge amounts of potential tax revenue still continues to be lost through high levels of illicit financial flows, especially from players in the extractive sector, as well as through community trading.
The first two reports of the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, EITI, for 2004-2005 revealed that even though companies changed hands over the period, no company paid capital gain tax as required by law.
Now, Deputy Finance Minister Abena Osei-Asare has promised that the Bank of Ghana will continually improve its regulatory and supervisory responsibilities to ensure only strong and well-managed banks operate in the country. According to her, the Bank of Ghana is a key stakeholder in enterprise development and remains the major source of external capital for both large businesses as well as small enterprises. She was speaking at the launch of Equity Savings and Loans in Accra.
According to operators in the savings and loan sector, confidence in their business is waning among consumers. Savings and loans companies are considered to be the same as microfinance institutions by many people, especially those in the informal sector where the companies largely operate. This, operators in the savings and loan sector argue, has made it necessary following the recent challenges in the microfinance sector for the central bank to consider amending its regulations and allow them to take up a name that implies savings and loans companies are in the business of banking. Already, the Ghana Association of Savings and Loans Companies has made a strong proposal to the central bank for a name change. They have requested for the identity of savings and loans companies to be changed into something that will encourage the banking populace. Speaking at the launch of Equity Savings and Loans, Chief Operating Officer Isaac Arthur noted Equity Savings and Loans has gone through the necessary processes required to enable them operate. He promised that the bank will serve customers in truth.
This license, it helps us to actually be able to give the best services and a range of products and services we can offer that hitherto we were not, authorized to do so. So now with this license, we believe that we are going to afford our customers a bigger opportunity to do great business and good business.
Deputy Minister of Finance Abena Osei-Asare promised government will implement policies that seeks to promote economic activities in the country.
50% of the time, it's not that the population do not want to bank or do not want to put their monies into financial institutions, but the financial literacy is not there. We are going to increase their capacity such that they can just find out which bank or which microfinance institution or which savings and loan institution will best serve their interest. We'll give them that confidence to also get to know things about the financial industry or things that they should watch out when they are investing in some of these banks. So that is what we are going to do.
Now, the government of Ghana plans to issue a $2.24 billion bond in the next few days, despite criticisms government received for its $2.25 billion domestic bond. Deputy Information Minister Kwadwo Oppong-Nkrumah has revealed the fresh bond will be used to pay the huge debt burdening the country's energy sector. Meanwhile, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari is seeking Parliament's approval for a proposal to borrow $5.8 billion from China to modernize its rail network and another $1.75 billion from the World Bank to help rebuild the insurgency-torn northeast. Buhari urged Parliament in a letter to approve the railway borrowing because China has a limit on funds available from its China-Africa Fund. The president wants to sign loan agreements as soon as China approves the project. And that's it for Business Brief tonight. It was brought to you by the National Investment Bank. Your business is our business.
Business Brief was brought to you by
National Investment Bank. Your business is our business.
For 2 months. Building in this country is too difficult.
Don't worry, the National Investment Bank We Pay for Your Dream scheme can help you finance your building project.
Listen, NIB gave me cement, iron rods, roofing sheets, and other materials to finish my building.
NIB can also help you purchase your home appliances, your mobile phones, and your motorbikes.
You don't even need to have an NIB account to benefit from the NIB We Pay for Your Dream scheme. No.
Just visit any NIB branch with a valid national photo ID card. And the best part is all purchased products are at no interest.
Call NIB now on 050-145-1050.
National Investment Bank. Your business is our business.
Sports Brief is brought to you by Castlegate Real Estate Group.
Coming up in sports, 7 Ghanaians advanced to the quarterfinal stage of the McDon Open West African Championship. Details soon.
Castlegate Estate Ghana Limited has evolved with new management and administration and positioned itself to serve you better. Seize this opportunity to do business with us by reserving a plot this year and start your own construction today. Castlegate Estate also has near complete or shell houses and serviced plots at prime locations on offer for sale at Katamanso, Tama Community 22 and 25 extensions, Dodoa and Prampram at very affordable prices. Our fully serviced plots come with electricity, pipe-borne water and road network. These plots are now selling fast. Just call our new management team and book appointment for free site visits. Castlegate Estate. We make home ownership easier.
Welcome back from that break, and 7 Ghanaian tennis players have progressed to the quarterfinals of this year's ongoing McDon Open Championship West African Division, which started on Monday and comes to an end on Saturday.
7 Ghanaian tennis players have advanced to the quarterfinals of the ongoing McDon Open West Africa Championship. The 7 include 4 men and 3 women who stood their ground to win their games despite the tough challenges they faced. Leading the pack of players to the quarterfinals is 16-year-old Cindy Edu from Winneba, who brushed aside stiff competition from the 2016 McDon Open West Africa Championship semi-finalist Faustina Tego in a 6-4, 5-7, 6-1 victory on Wednesday at the Accra Sports Stadium tennis court. Among the women qualifiers are Annette Cruikshank and Mariama Ibrahim. In the men's singles, Ghana's #1 Wisdomna Drago beat his fellow Ghanaian Andrews Eduapia 6-1, 6-2, whilst Bernard Dugba defeated Reginaldo Kante in a 6-2, 6-2. Bernard Ama Ashite ousted Isaac Tutriku in a 6-3, 6-1, with Jeff Bagabase also dumping Pascal Alome out of the tournament by beating him 6-1, 6-3. Names of qualified players in their respective countries are as follows: Ghana men category, Wisdomna Adrago, Jeff Bagabase, Bernard Ashiteama, and Bernard Dugba. From Togo are Thomas Satoji, Jean Kandaga, with Joel Meda and Felix from Ivory Coast and Benin, respectively. In the women category is Ghana's Cindy Edu, Annette Cruikshank, and Emma Kujo are through with Nigeria's Sarah Dekoge, Lizzie and Angela McLeod. The rest are fully quiet experience from Benin and Kouadio Amandine from Ivory Coast.
So the future Serena Williams and Venus Williams coming up here in Ghana. But shifting our attention straight to some boxing news, because this Saturday the mega fight is on between the man Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko, and had their final press conference today. And this is what the two boxers are saying. I know the betting will be on this Saturday. The mega fight is on. So the two, this is what they have to say.
Can you imagine my next opponent, which is Anthony Joshua? I'm going to fight a guy whose age is exactly the number how long I've been in boxing, 27 years. Is it a degradation that I'm actually a challenger and underdog in this fight? after 27 years being in sport? I don't think so.
You know, I'm still up very early in the morning and sleeping very late at night, working due diligently with my coach, strength and conditioning coach, mentors, to prepare myself not only physically, but mentally to prepare for any battle. And that's why I enjoy the sport. I take it seriously. And April 29th is just another stepping stone towards greatness.
This is the mega fight come Saturday. Anthony Joshua against Vladimir Klitschko. So that is all for sports. I'm handing you over to Kemini and Kweku. Kweku, over to you.
All right. I know Klitschko is just going to do that thing. Who would you go for?
Klitschko.
All right. So.
Yeah.
Well.
I'll do Klitschko too.
Tony, who are you going for?
It's Anthony Joshua for me on Saturday.
All right.
Why do I feel like I'm the traitor here? Come on, guys. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens, right?
Sure.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Sports Brief was brought to you by Castlegate Real Estate Group.
Enough. Abba. Plenty medical bills. I have tried different methods and it hasn't prevented sin. My son has been in the hospital twice this year because of malaria. I haven't had a good night's sleep in years. But now no more. Since I painted with Innisfly insecticide paint. Copy.
Innisfly insecticide paint kills mosquitoes dead for up to 2 years. It is a quality paint, a healthier option, and it's totally safe for humans and pets.
Take my word for it. Paint malaria out. Use Innisfly insecticide paint now.
Innisfly for a pest-free life.
The weather is brought to you by
Innisfly for a pest-free life.
Welcome back. Time now to have a look at news making headlines across the world. And tonight we start off in London, where a cheap drug has been shown to stop women bleeding to death in a discovery that should change practice around the world. Researchers say every year 100,000 women die from massive bleeding in the moments after giving birth. But an international study in The Lancet suggests that tranexamic acid could cut that by a third. Postpartum hemorrhage is the biggest cause of death during pregnancy and early motherhood. Professor Halima Shakur from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine is the co-leader for this report. And as you know, a few of African countries will be running for the elections this year, and Kenya is one of them. This week, all eyes on Kenya as they start the countdown to just 102 days away. Kenya's main opposition has finally chosen former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka as the running mate of his presidential candidate in the August poll. Now, meanwhile, many sitting politicians have lost their berths to defend their seats in the primaries. President Uhuru Kenyatta of the Jubilee Party is running for a second term. There have been outbreaks of violence in various parts of the country, as well as allegations of vote buying and rigging, which is not the first time in Kenya. And finally, in South Africans celebrate Independence Day today, referred to as Freedom Day. Freedom Day commemorates the country's first post-apartheid elections held in 1994, and this year signals 23 years of South Africa's democracy. President Jacob Zuma and his deputy Cyril Ramaphosa led the main Freedom Day celebrations in Manguzi, northern KwaZulu-Natal, earlier on today. Happy 23rd birthday, South Africa. And that's all we have time for tonight on our international segment. Thank you so much for tuning in. Handing back to you, Kemini and Kweku.
happy anniversary to you too, Independence anniversary to Lerato. But good night from us. Kweku Temeng is back with
State of Affairs.
Who are you having today?
Well, Prof. Newman Kusi, and we're bringing you quite a lot of interesting things. But just before we go, let's just entertain you a little bit from E-Zone.
Weddings are no doubt beautiful occasions. They celebrate love and also fill the atmosphere with fun and excitement. And there's the flowers and the impeccable decor. Lately, there's a growing trend couple employ before they walk down the aisle: the pre-wedding photo shoot, where some are beautiful, some are also very hilarious. Take a look at these pictures. What about these ones?
Whatever you do, I will take you home. I will take you home.
Some of the pictures truly had class and style. But however these pictures may look, love is always worth celebrating.
Take you home tonight. We are taking the girls away.
Did you have a pre-wedding shoot?
Yes.
Or it was a post-wedding shoot?
But I was not in a Lotto kiosk. I don't know.
I've seen that. It's so ridiculous. Keep it classy, guys.
I won't comment on that, but that's about it for us.
Well, News Tonight returns same time at 7 p.m. My name is Kimini Amano.
My name is Kweku Temeng. I'm coming back with State of Affairs. Do stay with us. It's a Thursday, and we're bringing you business.
Well, good night from me. Bye-bye.
Cowbell Vita-Rich formula has been stolen. Get it back at all costs. Great tasting Cowbell with Vita-Rich has the 28 vitamins and minerals you need to be at the top of your game. Delicious, nutritious Cowbell with Vita-Rich, our milk.
A little helping hand will go a long way to get your meals tasting really delicious. So season your cooking with Onga for that delicious taste and irresistible aroma that will get your loved ones looking forward to mealtimes.
Onga.
This year, GH1 celebrates our amazing mothers.
Welcome to semi-final. The stage is set. It's the maiden edition of the Royal Banking and Finance Challenge 2017, an inter-university competition among 16 universities poised to champion financial literacy in Ghana. Catch the nerve-wracking moment, the display of intelligence, confidence, courage, and a whole lot to learn. The Royal Banking
That was great.
Hi, my name is Giovanni Caleb, a host of the Star Drive right here on Star
103.5 FM. There is more to life than what you think you're going through now. There are better days ahead. Ghana needs your life, your family needs your life, your friends. And if you get to that point where you think nobody is listening to you or you feel all left alone in this world, talk to someone. Talk to the experts. I always remember there are brighter days ahead. And of course, we need your life. Choose life. I support this initiative.
Choose Life is a GH1 TV initiative promoting the value of life.
From the first industrial action in 1919 to the last in 2016, workers continue to find their voice to demand more pay and better conditions. This is a struggle that will continue and only stops every 1st of May as the world comes together to celebrate our hard work. GH1 recognizes workers and say Ayiko. Tune in on May 1 for the best coverage. GH1 News, Beyond Barriers.
It is often said that women don't like sports. Well, there is some truth to that. But it doesn't stop women from cheering and jeering when players are on the field. My name is Nana Banamwa, and I bring you Cheers with a bevy of articulate, beautiful, intelligent, and very entertaining ladies. We'll be talking through all the sports, from the most beautiful goal to the best player and the worst player. It is all on Cheers on this channel every Saturday morning.
Cheers is brought to you by Style Up, by Gandor Cosmetics, Lifestyle Gallery,
Fifi Beauty Center, and Yumvita, a delicious way to grow.
Surgery demystified.
Fibroids are usually non-cancerous growths.
Now my name is Samuel Fibro.
So I was rather giving them pressure to take me.
Descended testes means that the testes never descended down into the scrotum.
The most educative health show.
I'm an orthodox practitioner, and as far as we know, supported by research, there is no drug now currently in existence that will melt fibroid.
Informative and awareness of your health.
We bring the theater virtually into your home.
The OR Show.
What is your personal vision for the company?
We should be a very significant player in the industry, known as the real face of insurance.
I take my moments when they come. I'm trying to get into a more rounded business leader.
Can I be the president of Ghana? No, I can't. I don't have what it takes to be the president of Ghana.
Oh, no, I think you do.
That's your opinion, Akwesi. Thanks for the compliment.
My name is Akwesi Safo Kantanka. Join me right here at Fiesta Residences Boutique Hotel and Apartments as I ask the tough questions.
Change Managers with Akwesi, Women to Watch. A compelling conversation with women who are defining the future.
State of Affairs is proudly brought to you by Cowbell Coffee.
We're grateful that you stayed with us on State of Affairs, because tonight we bring you updates of some business happenings, would reflect into some policy decisions and how it is going to influence government's agenda in the coming days and even moving into years. But my guest in the studio is a man who is well read, indeed churning out a lot of research materials and also some publications out there. Well, tonight my guest, Prof. Newman Kusi, he is the Executive Director for the Institute for Fiscal Studies. He joins us in the studio to share his thoughts on many issues, which includes the revenue earmarked funding. Well, the IFS is commending government for listening to them. You would be well aware that prior to the budget reading, they went on a crusade, and indeed their call has been heeded to by government. Well, in today's papers, they commended government. We would want to touch on this and many other interesting developments coming up. So it's a packed evening. Your best bet is to stay with us. I'm sure you have your Cowbell coffee at home. You should take a sip with me while we enjoy some of the interesting, detailed conversations that we're going to have. Prof, a very good evening and thanks for joining me here.
Good evening, Kweku.
I wanted to take it very easy so that for somebody probably who was out of the country and was not reading about issues, refresh their memories on this whole crusade of earmarked funding, the dangers it posed to our revenue generating and spending, and then the crusade we went on and some results that has been achieved.
Kweku, you will recall that for 4 years when Dr. Dufo was the Minister of Finance, I was his special economic advisor. That's right. And that's the time that we actually look at the issue of revenue earmarking, which essentially is setting aside, either by law or by convention, a certain proportion of domestic revenue that's mobilized by the government for certain specific activities. Some of these requirements are backed by Constitution. For instance, the District Assembly Common Fund, requires that 5% of domestic revenue, not less than 5%, has to be set aside to be distributed to fund the District Assembly Common Fund. And since then, we've saw that the issue of establishing earmark funds has become some sort of a practice, to the extent that now there are about, if not mistaken, about 13 or so earmark funds. So when it's time for the government to prepare the budget, because those things are protected by law, you have to provide, once you have determined the revenue, you have to allocate the percentage to those funds. And by the time you finish with that, you see that the government has very little to fund the discretionary spending. So that's why we say that the earmark funds actually reduces the fiscal space for government, to maneuver. And so there may be very important things that may just come out during the year, or it's likely to come out, and government need to organize funds to, finance it, but there will be no funds. Meanwhile, you have money that has been allocated, for these funds. Some of them, the efficiency of the money being spent there and those things are sometimes also, questionable. So the basic reason is that the earmark funds, reduces, space for government to maneuver. And so we were saying that, look, we think we've got to a point where we cannot. There are a whole lot of things that government needs to do. Other than these earmark funds that are actually protected by law, if you take wages and salaries, which although are not protected by law and constitution, but the government cannot at the end of the month say that it's not going to pay salaries.
Absolutely.
The government has to pay. In fact, when we are preparing the budget, that's the first thing that we make sure that after preparing for the earmark fund, we make provision for that. We have also seen that over the years, because we have increased the public debt stock, interest payment has become, a significant item of public expenditure. And again, we've borrowed money. It's time for us to go and pay interest or amortize. You cannot say that I don't have, money to go and pay interest. So if you add all these earmark funds together with, wages and salaries payment and interest, then the government practically, the money is finished. So what we say that, look, given and also these earmark funds are sometimes part of government expenditures that would have been made anyway, but they are not so, sometimes not critical. For instance, if you take the road fund, for instance, and you go to the road fund, you can see that almost every single road in this country has been awarded for contract.
That's right.
Then the question that arises is that, are all these roads critical? Compared to, for instance, payment of wages and salaries or payment for interest payments. So our crusade is that government should not establish any more earmark funds. and must take a critical look at the existing earmarks funds. And for those that we think they have served their purposes for which they were established, or those for which we can reduce the volume of money that are transferred to fund them by way of either amending the laws or the regulations that provides for that. Government should do that as a way of creating more space
for them to be able to have money to do other things that I'm particularly happy about the swift response. Yes. I mean, immediately we've seen that away from the 40% that of tax revenue that was earmarked, now we have just about 25% going into. For you, is this a significant achievement of that crusade?
I think it's a significant achievement because if nothing at all, it has created room for government to get money to finance its discretionary spending, and I think it's a significant achievement for government, listening to our recommendations or the crusade that we embarked upon.
But there's been criticisms, and I'm sure you've heard some of them. Some saying, "Well, we all planned through this, and it was towards a purpose. It was just not anything that we were just putting money aside for no reason," and that even go ahead to accuse government of wanting to blow more of the revenue that is generated on other issues. That's why they are not even thinking about posterity and the like. These critiques, I'm not sure you would buy into, but when you hear some of these things, what comes to mind?
Well, I mean, somebody sitting from outside and have not been involved in putting together the budget and allocating funds, we think that, it is.
You're talking like I have been there and I know what I'm talking about.
The difficulty, that's right. I've been there and I know the difficulties that involve. And then again, we live in a dynamic environment. Things change. Maybe at the time when a particular earmark fund was established, there was the critical need for that. And over the years, we need to step back and say, have the earmark fund met, the objective for which it was originally established? And therefore, we can either draw it back or reduce it, or do we need to continue all that? So that is what we're talking about. Let's step back, have a review of these earmark funds, and those that we think, look, we can just stop them, let's take the necessary step to stop them, and before we think of creating any more earmark and tightening the government hands behind his back.
Well, Prof. Newman Kusi is my guest for tonight, and we've been discussing the earmarked fund, and of course government has responded, and this time the earmarked funds capping and realignment act has been passed by Parliament, so we've seen a significant reduction in the tax revenue that is earmarked into various sectors or spending. But Prof, you have again cautioned that government should exercise a bit of precaution not to mar the fiscal space that they are enjoying now. Exactly what were you driving at? Is it government's borrowing attitude or what? I mean, yes, the fiscal space created, but you are again asking government to be cautious.
Yes. We're trying to say that, look, government should not be so much overwhelmed by the fact that by capping the EMF funds, they have money available to spend. What we are saying that the money is now available for government to spend, and government must be very, very careful as to what critical things for which money needs to be spent on, and not just went on spending spree because now we have free money and therefore we can do that. So we're just sounding warning. And in fact, what we imply is that, or what we were expecting the government, in addition to capping the earmark funds, was to undertake a comprehensive review of the expenditures. Because if you look at the government spending, for instance, there are still certain areas where you have a whole range of, fruitless expenditures, wasteful expenditures, and in some cases, even unbudgeted expenditures and those type of things. So we're drawing government attention that fine, no, you've capped the earmark fund, you're going to get some free money, but again, that's not the end. Go deeper into the expenditure items and try to see if those that fruitless ones can be attended to. And also, we're also saying that the fact that you have capped the earmark funds and therefore free some money which you can decide to use does not mean that that is the end of the day. You need to look at the revenue side. and make sure that measures are implemented to increase the overall, the quantum of the domestic revenue, so that you have more space, to be able to, do or implement some of the measures that the government intends to, intend to implement during the period. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, as you go ahead to caution government, I'll just want to quickly look at other issues that I want to discuss tonight, and one of the key ones that I would want to tie it into this discussion, as Prof. Newman Kosi gently cautions government as it's gone ahead to free some space to be also circumspect about spending, is that we are looking at going for a fresh bond. And this bond, this morning, if I had the Deputy Minister of Information very right, they were seeking some $2.24 million. They were going to issue it in bonds, and that was to clear the legacy debts, the energy sector debts. And for them, clearing it in bits, it has its own problems and challenges it gives to the energy sector. So this is one that, look, let's go for money. Let's just take it off, and then let's tax them to be proactive and work effectively and efficiently. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it is a good idea, to clear the debts, because these legacy debts. If you take TOR, for instance, TOR is completely paralyzed as a result of the debt that it owes the commercial bank, and therefore does not have money to do, the refining of crude oil and those type of things. If you look at VRA, VRA is, almost every bank here, and therefore is unable to get money, additional fresh money to buy the crude oil, which to run the thermal plants and all those type of things. And also, you will see that one of the critical factors that is affecting industrial activities, in particular the manufacturing activities, is lack of power. This intermittent power, what they call this doomsaw, and those type of things. And as a result of the impact of the power shortages on manufacturing activities, that has also impacted on the growth of the economy. So manufacturing activities has come down as a result of intermittent power, not constant supply of power, and therefore the economy has, the economic growth has slowed down. Now, when the economic growth slows down, it means the activities based on which government will tax to raise the revenue have also slowed down. So on the other side, as a result of these energy, institutions or enterprise unable to supply adequate power, and therefore manufacturing activities have slowed down, and therefore economic growth has slowed down, and therefore tax revenue that should have been mobilized from these activities has slowed down. So you see that it has it has an effect on even the government ability to mobilize more money to be able to to finance government activity. And therefore, if there's a way by which we can clear this debt, put all these enterprises on a new pedestal, with stringent monitoring activities and monitoring them, evaluate their performance to ensure that they perform, let us have constant supply of electricity across the country, boost manufacturing activities, economic activities. I think it's a brilliant idea, because I think in the medium to long term, the benefits of paying off these legacy debts, will far exceed, the cost of,
I didn't want to go into these discussions, but not too long ago, you heard about the previous bond that was issued, the $2.25 million bond for 15 years, quite some years for us to get some space, though. But again, the difficulty with Franklin Templeton being the major institution that bought a huge chunk of the bond, it's not really settled yet. In fact, they are on a roadshow touting Ghana's achievements and why investors should look this direction. But just then, so for me, my concern was the level of borrowing within the period. I mean, yes, it's probably for a good cause, but should you not be concerned about the rate of borrowing, especially around this time, something that I think you and your team at IFS have equally advocated against?
You see, to start with, Kweku, there is nothing wrong in borrowing. What is important is...
there something wrong with borrowing excessively?
Yes, there's something wrong with borrowing excessively.
Are we borrowing excessively?
Well, I think by the debt stock, I think we've got, because as at end of 2016, according to the government own record, we had borrowed to the tune of 122 billion, which is equivalent to 72.5% of gross domestic product, which I think is on the higher side. But the question is what did we use these monies for? There are countries that have grown themselves out of debt, countries that have borrowed, to develop their economies, and now they are generating enough money to pay for this debt without any significant impact on the economic activities or growth of the economy. It depends on what you use the money for. If you borrow and you use the money...
In our case, we are borrowing to pay debts. That's the recent one we're thinking about issuing.
Right.
We're borrowing to pay debts. Do you consider that prudent enough?
Yes, we are borrowing to pay debts, you see, because what I think they're doing is that these debts that they are paid are of short-term duration. Okay, they were maybe three years debt or 2 years debt, or that has matured. So now let's go and borrow money to pay this debt, and then have an extension. Remember, these debts are of 5 years or 10 years and so and so. So in terms of the total stock of the debt, there's no change, because if you are owing 10 billion and 2 billion is matured, and you go and borrow 2 billion to go and pay the 2 billion, you are still owing 10 billion.
Absolutely.
Okay, you are
I like the breakdown,
10 billion.
that's how you put it.
But previously, of the previous 10 billion, you were required to pay 2 billion of that in 2 years or a year. For us now, the additional 2 billion that you have brought, the new 2 billion you have brought in, gives you 5 years or 10 years to pay. So it gives you space, for you to mobilize yourself and be able to generate money, so that when it's 15 years or 10 years come, you'll be able to. So the one advantage of it is the duration. The duration over which you have to pay. But in terms of the debt stock, if you borrow to pay your existing debt, you still have the same the stock.
All right. All right, I'm quite impressed about the way you've tried to break this down to my understanding, and for you it shouldn't be a concern at all, because my major concern has been our level of borrowing. If we've hit the threshold where it is unsustainable, maybe if that is the right question. And I know the IFS has written a lot about Ghana's debt. I mean, last year I got a lot of documents that I had to go through, and I must say that the IFS is one institution that if you need some bits and pieces of such information, it's really available, very well published, that you can pick on at any time if you need such information. So you can confirm also that where we find ourselves now is unsustainable, but we have again no choice than to go for these funds.
Of course, otherwise what do? You've borrowed previously, it's time for you to pay the money, to pay the debt. You can't generate money from your own resources to pay the debt. What do? You have to go and borrow.
A concern for you, somebody who has stayed at the finance ministry.
It is. So I think the debt level now, according to all studies, the country public debt stock is unsustainable. So I think we must be very conscious that we don't add significantly to it. Now, what we are being told that this 2.4 that he borrowed is going to use to amortize retiring debt. So thank God, if it is 122 billion, we'll still stay at 120 or plus or minus, some insignificant margin. But we should not take consolation of that. We need to go back and say, what is that we have to do so that we will not add to the debt stock? And this is where it is, fiscal consolidation and all these things, how we have adjustment and all these things, reducing the fiscal deficit, so that, remember, any deficit that you run, it means you have to go and borrow money to come and finance it. So if you are able to reduce the fiscal deficit to a sustainable level, then, your debt is also priced at a sustainable, level.
Prof. Newman Kwesi is my guest this evening on State of Affairs. He is the Executive Director of the IFS. Let's also appreciate Carl Bell-Coffey for deciding to support State of Affairs this evening. Indeed, I'm getting a sip in here and it feels real good. I'm sure if you are at home tonight, you don't want to eat so much. You just want to take it easy while you stay on a little bit with some Carl Bell-Coffey. But let me also touch on something key that you would need. You would want to buy that car park part for your car, and it's become a hustle traveling through the traffic and moving up and down. Well, I have some innovative suggestions for you, and that is just getting your computer, logging on, or even on your phone, and logging on to mtcarparts.com. So you just type www.mtcarparts.com. That's a new way of buying car spare parts. Now, whether it be transmission fluid that you need, whether it be anything with the plugs, whether it be something with a particular part of the car that you are not getting, just log on. Now, it's a simple way, and I'll just show you how to do that. Select the car. After logging on, select the car part or the brand that you want. So, for instance, if you drive a Toyota Camry, just look out for that particular car, click on it, and then select the year. The year, for instance, if your car is a 2010 model or 2015 model, just select that one, and then it goes on to give you exactly what you want. You can also touch on the engine capacity, and then it drives you closer in. Once you have it, it shows you what exactly you can pick. So you pick the parts that you want, and then pronto, you are done. You can pay via mobile money or through a bank deposit or the like. And in some cases, it would even be delivered for you. What a new way to buy your car parts. Well, when we come back, we will share more details on this particular development with you. But if you want to go closer to them, you can always locate MT Car Parts in and around the La Paz area, near the Accra La Paz, near the Tema Station, or Takoradi around the Anaje St. Francis. So if you're watching us from Takoradi, you're also included. You can always get this service to yourself. So that would be about it. You know how to buy your car parts at this time. We're taking a break. When we come back, we're looking at other interesting developments with illicit financial inflows into the country and how it affects our sustainable development agenda. We'll be back shortly. Do stay with us. It's still State of Affairs.
Post-Acure food supplements to improve urine flow in men. Yes, you're so frequently, no more straining in urination.
Some few months ago, life was very tough for me as a man. I had a problem with urine flow. The urine does not flow the way I wanted. My bladder is often not completely empty. Sometimes I just embarrass myself. Until I was introduced to Prostacure from Medimosis Prostate Center.
Prostacure from Medimosis Prostate Center is a well-formulated food supplement acclaimed worldwide to improve urine flow. Now available at all pharmacies, filling station shops, and shopping centers nationwide. Contact the Accra and Kumasi branches with the numbers on your screen.
Visit our new branch in the AESL building, opposite Ministry of Roads and Transport, near Pension House, Accra.
Prostacure food supplement improves urine flow in men. Everybody drink our coffee, smile and have a sunshine day. Everybody do what you're doing, smile and have a sunshine day. Everybody do what you're doing, your smile will bring a sunshine day. Drink up the celebration, we're together, join your hands in harmony. Everybody, do what you're doing. Smile and have a sunshine day.
Everybody, start every day with delicious, nutritious Cowbell coffee and have a sunshine day.
Everybody, drink our coffee. Smile and have a sunshine day. Woo!
All right, so we're grateful that you're still right here with us. We would want to say a big thank you to Cowbell. Indeed, Cowbell are our sponsors. Cowbell coffee, definitely one you must take in the office. It keeps you active, and the milk very nutritious. You should be able to buy Cowbell coffee and make sure all your colleagues in the office enjoy with you. We're still on State of Affairs, and tonight is a Thursday, so we're looking at the business edition of State of Affairs. Well, we're moving on to something very interesting, and we're talking about illicit financial inflows. Well, ISODEC has been talking about it for some time now. They held a forum on it. Let's just pick some details from it, and then when we come back, Prof. Newman Kusi will share with us his thoughts on this particular development.
Every year, it is estimated Africa loses $50 billion through illicit financial activities of multinational companies and rich individuals. The multiplier effect of illegal financial activities in Africa means loss of jobs, income, decent education, and basic infrastructure. Officials identified multinational companies operating in Africa's extractive sectors as major culprits.
The returning the funds, where particularly the management of frozen assets. That part, what the panel had said, has not been picked up yet by the civil society organizations, and they have been advocating for when assets are frozen. The banks who have been the culprits in the first place should not be keeping this money, because those proceedings can go up to a decade, from 7 years to a decade.
Government has been tasked to consider the introduction of an intranet information system to help facilitate information sharing among the various divisions under the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Various studies have indicated that this country loses huge amounts of money in illicit financial outflows. These happen a lot of times through the exploitation of leakages in our policies, laws, and institutional arrangements.
He also indicated that in spite of some commitments made by previous governments over the years to tackle illicit financial trade, huge amounts of potential tax revenue still continues to be lost through high levels of illicit financial flows, especially from players in the extractive sector, as well as through community trading.
The first two reports of the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, EITI, for 2004-2005 revealed that even though companies change hands over the period, no company paid capital gain tax as required by law.
All right, so interesting development there. You heard from ISODEC and UNICA some of the developments when it comes to illicit financial outflows or illicit inflows or outflows. So some of them that I could touch on easily. Africa loses somewhat about $50 billion every year to some of these outflows, and multinationals have been fingered here with this report or with this issue that has come up. Again, there are calls that even if it is identified that it is an illicit inflow and it's frozen, the banks should not be allowed to keep it. Maybe it should be taken off and kept somewhere separate because it's stained funds. So let's get to discuss this. Prof, how concerned are you about this latest report coming up from ISODEC and its partners?
Well, I mean, IFS, we have not done any detailed or significant work on that particular, but I know, from my previous dispensation, that, yes, there is a sizable amount of illicit, these flows through transfer pricing mechanisms, through trade misinvoicing, either over invoicing or inflating import costs, and under invoicing export costs and those sort of things. And I remember or over invoicing export or whatever. You see, in a situation where, and this normally happens mostly by the companies in the extractive industries. The investment incentives may allow them to import capital equipment and all those type of things tax-free. Okay, so through that they can inflate the cost of their imports, and then it's tax-free. But when it comes in, it becomes part of their cost of production, to which they must work, reap profit, and pay back and take the money back. So it's an indirect way of inflating the amount of money that eventually will have to be taken back, because they brought the money from outside in order to do that. And again, because they also will be required, or they may ask to transfer, part of their profits or part of their proceeds, to wherever they base. There's also a tendency for them to either inflate in export values, of what they make, so that when the time comes for them to transfer whatever that is, they have enough money. There are also instances where the companies based here, when they need capital, to do some work, they may borrow from their parent companies, but their arrangement, the cost, the loan arrangement and interest costs and all those things are known between the local company and the parent company. You can only see the size of the loan, so when you go through their books and those things, meanwhile, it's the same company, and they actually know as whether, in fact, the money, the debt that they're talking about actually materialized, and if it did, it's of the same magnitude or different. So these are the mechanisms, through which we have these illicits, flow.
Prof, how difficult is this for our economy? How does this injure us in our quest to raise revenue? How does this hurt us in the eyes of the international community?
For instance, you take a mining company, for instance, government has 10% free carry interest on all these things. That 10% free carry interest, will make governments receive money, receive income, when at the end of the year, the company is able to declare profits, and then because government is a shareholder, it may be entitled to a certain proportion of the profit. But if over the period, because of all these costs, inflation and all these things, at the end of the year, the profit, instead of being, say, 200 million, they declare 10 million. It means that proportion that will go to the government has significantly been slashed, been slashed. But what we need to do is for the government to set up, a committee or a body with special people, experts, who know the intricacies of this illicit flow, and look at them and monitor the activities of these, particularly those in the strategic industry.
Do you think we've not been tight in this area?
We have not been tight.
Do you think we've not demonstrated enough know-how in curbing this particular practice?
It's not a matter of know-how, it's a matter of monitoring, monitoring to identify the issue and take decisive action on it. For instance, we have argued so many times that the fiscal regime, the mining fiscal regime or the extractive fiscal regime, for instance, are not too tight. For instance, I mean, there are instances where companies have got what you call stabilization agreement with government. That look, for about 4 years or 5 years of initial production, we will not pay the stars, we will not, we do this type of depreciation, so and so. And maybe because at the time when they were coming, we desperately need some investment in that area, so we agree with these stability agreements and those type of things. But over time, we need to sit back to say that now, do we need these stability agreements? That somebody comes to mind your goals.
They should call for renegotiation.
That's right. We should call for renegotiation. I mean, Kweku, you may have known that in the olden days, our fathers, when you go and you want to do farming and you get the landlord, he gives you a piece of land to do farming. After that, he said that we divide it into 3, and then you, the one who did the farming, you get 1, and then the landlord, he gets 2. Or at best, they divide it into 2, you get half in half. So from our traditional background, we know what we call a busa, a bunu, and in other words, we know how to distribute.
You remind me of my time in
Cochrane.
To me
so how come that when somebody comes to dig gold, explore gold in this country, the gold is our resource, and he comes to explore it? Why can't we say that, fine, as for us, we don't know any intricacies, so do it, it's a busa or a bunu, your half of it, pay for your cost and those type of things and that. So in that case, we will only be interested in the output, the product, the gold that you are mining, the quantity, the volume, that's all that we are interested in, because at the end of
if we are harsh on these foreign investors, Prof, do you think that they would be encouraged to move into the country? There is competition. Rwanda is welcoming them with open arms, and they go tell the international community that, look, doing business in certain African countries is just like an asphalted road, and in some parts of West Africa it's just a difficulty. And they keep tainting us out there. So our governments may be in response to some of these difficulties or the business environments created through the GIPC is trying to create that fertile grounds for them to come in as investors. And
if the argument is that if they don't come, the gold will not run away. The gold deposit will continue to be there, and as time goes on, their value will appreciate.
So if we don't have good policy, we should let it be.
That's it. We should not try to demonstrate that we are desperate and therefore enter into agreement that in the end will not be of any benefit to the country. Okay, so we have to sit down and look at these, extractive fiscal, regimes, and try to remove all these things that allows them for them to, engage in this illicit, transfer of flows and those stuff.
Well, if you just join in us on State of Affairs, we are engaged in a hot discussions in illicit flows into the country or out of the country. I saw they came up with some concerns on it at a workshop today. In just about a while, we'll be wrapping up with what governments should be doing. But allow us to take a break at this point, and then when we come back, we will just touch on the way forward and what to do. But just a gentle reminder that we are grateful to Cowbell. Indeed, it refreshes us right here in the studio at this point in time. We'll be back with some more. Do stay with us.
Hisense, media sampa baby o. Makasa na yetie. Say Hisense King Kong phone. Apa mo bibia. Your Hisense King Kong 1 and your Hisense King Kong 2 and your Hisense King Kong 3. Still, Hisense King Kong phone. Insurance yo insurahiase. Ensure tona se show bottom na de na mu a. Uni how enye hwe. Hisense King Kong battery check. No one day, afe, and a never dafom. To Kako Hisense showroom bia. Nekojo King Kong 1, 2, or 3. Madam Hisense, Matete Soma will say, who? Afe Frey 0302 550000. Hisense, everyday prizes for everyday people.
Everybody drink our coffee, smile and have a sunshine day. Yeah, yeah. Everybody do what you're doing, smile and have a sunshine day. Everybody do what you're doing, your smile will bring a sunshine day. Drink up the celebration, we're together, join your hands in harmony. Everybody, do what you're doing. Smile and have a sunshine day.
Everybody, start every day with delicious, nutritious Cowbell coffee and have a sunshine day.
Everybody, drink our coffee. Smile and have a sunshine day.
Of Affairs proudly brought to you by Cowbell Coffee. We're discussing issues surrounding illicit inflows or outflows and how some institutions or multinationals have been able to sweep a lot of funds from this part of the world. Indeed, from research from ISODEC and its partners, today Africa loses somewhat around $50 billion every year because of this illicit flows, and they are calling for tough measures and tough sanctions. Well, but I'm thinking Prof here in the studio has gone a little bit tough on the issue, looking at the way he has addressing it. So, Prof, I'm preparing to round this up, but I want to know, we can't discuss it and let it go. You've mentioned that you're expecting the government to do more, but this time, put it in perspective. What should the government be doing to help curb some of these initiatives?
The government has started doing something. For instance, the withdrawal of exemptions. Because most of these companies, were exempted for the importation of a whole range of things, sometimes including water, importing water into this country and being exempted. So the issue of exemptions, which this government is looking at, must be carried to the logical conclusion. Number two, we must also sit back and look at our fiscal regimes for these mining and other extractive companies. And then wherever there's loopholes or the regimes, the rules are not strong, we have to tighten those places.
But Prof, I've expressed my reservations about that because you go extremely tough and then, not only in the mining sector, but for the investor in general, and you put some unfriendliness, doing business unfriendliness in that person, and they want to hold their funds back.
But Koko, let's look at, similar countries, other countries where mining and oil exploitation, these things are taking place.
Share with me, I want to know.
Take South Africa, for instance, and take gold, for instance. If you get to Johannesburg, for instance, you can see what gold has physically done for the city of Johannesburg.
Has gold not contributed to your revenue as a country?
But if you come here, if you get to Obuasi, can you tell me what gold has done to Obuasi and the environment and the neighborhood of Obuasi?
Maybe you have to share with me Johannesburg and
you can see good roads, good schools. Even when the gold were mined, after the mining, the way the land is reclaimed and prepared for further economic activities and those type of things. Is that what happens here when they come here? Is that what happens? They have what they call corporate social responsibility. They go and build some 2 classrooms, brought somewhere else, and they begin to make noise about that. What we are saying is that let us have our fair share of the product, and we will use it for our benefit in the way that we want it.
Will the government invest it in Obuasi?
Not necessarily investing in Obuasi. Yes, of course, government will have to invest this in, to improve the lot of the people.
Because I was thinking the South African government has invested in Johannesburg with the proceeds they get.
Of course, proceeds that we get, and the company proceeds that they get, because the product, the mineral, originally belong to South Africa. So South African government has mechanism to make sure that a greater proportion of the produce, the mineral, are retained in the country for the development of the country. That's all that I'm talking about. Let us sit back and make sure that, the country gets its fair share of, the output, the minerals output for the development of Obuasi and the country as a whole. By being very vigilant, we need to monitor the activities of these mining companies and oil companies. If they say that we are producing, 100,000 barrels of oil a day, is it true? That is what they are mining. If they say that we produce 100,000 carats of diamond, do we have any mechanism to cross-check to see that yes, it is true 100,000 carats of diamond? If they have to pay their taxes, does the Ghana Revenue Authority go back to physically check that yes, they have discharged all their tax liabilities? If they say that at the end of the year they produce their annual report and do all these funny things and so, do we have auditors who sit down with the people and say, hey, let's go through it, give us the documentary proof to show that, yes, you incurred this cost, you incurred that cost, and that cost, and therefore the outcome or the statement that we're giving us reflect the true happiness of the... Do we have those mechanisms? Do we do that? Those are the things that we're talking about, you know. So we need to be very vigilant, you know, and very, I don't want to use the word, you know, harsh or not, but, you know, very strong, you know, in ensuring that the country, you know, gets its fair share of the minerals. Remember, these are exhaustible, you know, resources. Once they are taken out of the soil, we can't get them again. If we don't take a time will come that our children will not know, or they can't even know what is gold or even diamond or that type of thing.
Quite
so the issue of
if will hold us for it
of course, so the issue of if we are too hard, they will go away. And so I'm telling you that they will not go away.
Because the resource is there.
The resource is there.
And once it's there,
and
they'll keep
once
coming.
it makes economic sense to exploit it, or that they said, okay, fine, let us go back to the table and renegotiate. And that gives us an opportunity for us to put our cards on the table. But in doing that, we need to get Ghanaians whose integrity is beyond reproach to be able to undertake that exercise. Remember,
talking about integrity, do you think at some point we have compromised by our own citizenry, connivance and the like, leading us to us losing quite significant amount of revenue?
I've seen and read some of the stability agreements that the country have signed with those mining companies, and I asked myself that were these negotiated by Ghanaians? Were these negotiated by Ghanaians? You know, so. I cannot.
What makes you have your doubts? Why do you ask if this was negotiated by Ghanaians? Are they not good enough for us?
Yes, they're not good enough. They don't protect the interests of the country. I've read stability agreements in other countries. Okay? In other countries. And I agreed stability agreement enter into it in my country here, and I asked myself, wow, what is this? So sometimes we are the cause of our own woes, you see. And so we must now step back and get people with, you know, whose integrity is beyond reproach to be able to lead those type of exercises. Because we are talking about big sums of money. And some of these companies will go at whatever length to get what is that they want.
So if we're talking about big amounts of funds that is sometimes repatriated out of the country, well, Africa loses well over $50 billion. In this amount is Ghana in there somewhere. And for Prof. Newman Kwesi, get the people with the know-how who equally have integrity to be able to man some of these outflows. And for the banks, when somebody is found to be culpable, ensure that the good laws of the land deal with the person accordingly. Prof, many thanks for joining us this evening on State of Affairs to share your thoughts on the earmarked funding bits and also Ghana's bonds that we're going for, our debt situation. And then dovetailing is with issues surrounding illicit influence. We're sincerely grateful. It's always resourceful getting you in the studio, I must admit.
Thank you. You're welcome, and thank you for your cheerful listeners. Thank you very much.
All right, so for you out there also, we celebrate you that you join us on this Cowbell Coffee program to be able to bring you State of Affairs. Same time next week, Thursday, we're back here. We have more on the business happenings in the country. But for now, the entire production team, we would want to say a big thank you to you. We have Cowbell Coffee. We salute you. We would want to stay with you in this business.
From playing all your favorite hit videos to bringing you the exclusives in the world of entertainment, we bring the party closer to you.
Let's get crazy!
Rhythms Live, GH's hottest music show, presents Rhythms Dip and Splash. The official weekend pool party happening on the 29th of April, straight up at T Lounge, East Legon.
If I tell you, say I love you. Oh.
Time 10 a.m. sharp. Rate cool 15 cedi.
Come hang out with your favorite presenters, Jason LA, Bella Mundi, Regina Crave, and DJ Spliff. Best part is, it's a free Wi-Fi affair. So it's all about the tweets, the snaps, and the trending photos.
Oh my God. Passing through are Ebony, Sorokis, Article 1, Opanka, Keche, Jesus, and many more.
Dip it and splash it, Stonebwoy representing for Rhythms Deep and Splash. Make sure you roll out, make sure you come through endorsing it. You don't know. All the Stonebwoy fans, make sure you roll out. See them, man.
Big shout outs to Malta Guinness, Surfline, Eddie's Pizza, and Seeker's Kitchen for holding us down.
Come and party with Rhythms Live, your world of entertainment.
It always feels good to be here Thursday night on GH1 TV. Good evening. My name is Amanda GC and this is eTalk. And tonight on the show, yes, we'll be talking everything entertainment, dance, music, movies, you know, all the events, press launch,